Hey everyone, welcome back to Between the Lines. Today we're joined by Ziad Haddad, who was recently named as the heavyweight champion of Division II. First off, just got to say thank you for coming on the show.
Appreciate you guys having me.
Great to finally have you. All right, well, let's just start out. You won the heavyweight champion. You went undefeated. How does it feel to make such an accomplishment?
It's an incredible feeling. One that when you train hard for something, then lots of other people experience the same feeling. When you train so hard for something and you finally, it's something that eludes you for a while and you finally get there. It's just that taste of satisfaction is unbelievable.
Definitely, and you're used to this feeling. You were at Nationals last year where you finished fourth. What was the biggest difference in your work ethic to improve from last year to this year?
I changed my habits a little bit. I really dedicated myself. I committed myself the week after Nationals. I remember sitting down with Coach Fisher and our athletic training staff and getting a plan together to be a national champion. And that was something that was set in stone from a nutrition standpoint, from a training standpoint, from a lifestyle standpoint. I'd made a complete change to be as good as I could be.
So you felt, you say, in better shape this year than last year?
Better shape. I trained over the summer to get better technique. I found different workout partners, guys who were, who would push me more. I changed my eating habits. Just all around, I made a complete lifestyle change, and that's what it took to go from fourth to first. And it's that much, difference. So,
Certainly, a very huge difference. In fact, one amazing statistic is that you didn't surrender a takedown all year. How were you able to just avoid that as a whole? That's amazing.
I think, a couple of things. It's a style matchup. It's something that the way I wrestle, it's tough to, for other people to take me down. There's one quote from probably the greatest wrestler of all time, Dan Gable. He says, "The more I'm in on his legs, the less he's in on mine." And
I like that.
that's something I live by. Just the style thing, and then the rest of it is an attitude. You step out on the mat, you got to have an attitude that, I'm going to take you down, and you're not going to take me down. And guess what? That equals wins.
Certainly. And speaking about attitude, going through you were ranked #1 in the country for the whole season. What did you do to avoid complacency during that stretch?
I hadn't accomplished anything. Rankings don't mean anything. Being ranked #1 in the country doesn't mean that you're the heavyweight, you win the national championship. That's easy. Avoiding complacency, you don't win anything. The complacency factor will be next year, getting ready to try to win another one. And that's the key. Next year I'm going to attempt to win another one, not defend anything. I'm going out to win a second one.
Certainly. So will you view that defending heavyweight champion title as a target on your back, or will you embrace it and accept the challenge?
It's something that I look forward to. This year when you're ranked #1 in the country, as I assume I will be next year, you have that target on your back, so you always get people's best shot. You always get people's best effort. And that's what we all compete for. That's the best part about sports is, the competition aspect. I look forward to somebody putting their foot on the line across from me and saying, "I'm better than you," and then shaking hands and saying, "Okay, let's find out." That's the best part about wrestling. That's why I love it. It's a mano-a-mano situation where it's one man against one man, and somebody's going to win and somebody's going to lose, and there's no other factors other than that.
Certainly. And speaking of competition, you actually had changed the level you played at. You had transferred from Division I North Carolina. Mm-hmm. What made you choose to come to Kutztown?
Really, first of all, I didn't really choose anything. I had some interest in coming here back in 2011, and then I didn't. Coach Fisher, being the great man that he was, just told me that, this is what you have to do. You have to straighten out your life. You need to go back into school. And I didn't want to hear it at that time. And then the following year in 2012, I realized that is what I needed to do. And I just called him up, and, he was more than willing to, help me out and get me back into school. And once he did that, I started stepping on the mat, and one thing led to another, and he put me in a KU singlet, and the rest is history.
Certainly. And did you notice, did it seem, what was the biggest difference you noticed between Division II and Division I? Did it seem easier?
No, there's really the difference, I would say, is the amount of teams and the depth of the wrestlers. But, I've said this in interviews after the finals. The guys that are in the finals in Division II can go with anybody. Maybe not so much the 8th place guy can go with the 8th place guy in Division I, but those guys that are in the finals are just as good as anybody. Division II is definitely catching up. I mean, the only difference to me is the fanfare and the amount of schools. But as far as the caliber of wrestling, it's top notch as well.
Of course, it's very competitive. You actually competed against a couple Division I opponents this year and had no trouble with that. And you mentioned before how you had taken some time off from wrestling. What made you want to get back on the mat the most?
There's always that inner fire that sort of burns for everybody. Whether it's you haven't accomplished a certain thing that you set out to accomplish, or you haven't fixed up your house the certain way that you wanted to, or whatever it is. For me, it was wrestling. You have that fire that burns inside you that still says, you can do this. You have the ability. You just need to do it. And that was it for me. I knew I had the ability, and I'm blessed that Coach Fisher had given me an opportunity, when nobody else would. I just tried to make the most of it.
You certainly did. You went undefeated, #1 ranking in a national championship. And now you have 1 year left. You said you're coming back. What's going to be the key to winning a national title next year?
Doubling my effort. My grandfather, after the finals, he's 84 years old. He looked at me. He's followed me every match I've ever wrestled. He looked at me in the eyes and he said, next year you have to double your effort. And he's right, because I can't do the same thing that I did this year to win a national title, because the guys that I competed against are chasing me, So I got to stay one step ahead. You just stay in the same, category. You still do the same thing. You're going to end up with, similar the result. Well, those guys are doubling their effort, so I need to do the same.
That's amazing. All right, well, it's an excellent story. Congratulations again. That's all the time we have. And stay tuned for more Between the Lines.